wanted to go ahead and make that adaptive component that we used, and so I'm going to go to Family New. I'm going to scroll down to Generic Model Adaptive. I'm going to change my background to white, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to place 4 points on the ground representing those 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to Modify, I'm going to window around those guys, and I am going to make those adaptive. So you're going to see them come up with a 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to go to Reference Line, and I'm going to make sure that Draw on Face is selected and 3D Snapping is selected. Then I'm going to just draw a line from point 1 to point 2 to point 3 to point 4 and back around and close that off. Don't worry about it when it has that little inaccuracy. It gets upset when lines are slightly off of square. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to go to Point. I'm going to make sure that Draw on Face is selected, and I'm going to host that point on that line right there. So by left clicking, go into Modify, I can zoom in on that point, and by picking it I can set it as my current work plane. I can go to Draw, Rectangle, and I'm going to go to Draw on Work Plane, and I'm going to turn off 3D Snapping. So it's going to host on this work plane of that point. So I draw a line around there, go to Modify, Create Align Dimension, pick one edge, pick the line, pick the other edge, come on out here and equal those out. Pick the top edge, pick the line, pick the bottom edge, pull that guy out and equal those out, and then do overall dimensions. You'll notice that I'm picking the line. If you pick the point in this case, oftentimes you'll get an error message. So I would recommend when you're trying to dimension to things, if you have multiple options, try the different options of things to dimension to before you give up. So I'm going to hold on to the Control key and add both those dimensions in my selection, and I'm going to add a parameter to them. And I'll just call this D1 for distance 1 and click OK. So now those have a parameter on them that's set. I can look in the Family dialog box and I can set a default for that. Hit Apply, and you'll see that guy update. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this an instance parameter because I want to nest it and assign it to another parameter. So I'm going to click OK and click OK. And then I'm just going to pick this line, and I didn't do it before, but I prefer to work with model lines, so I'm going to turn it into a reference line there. And once I have that selected and changed into a reference line, I'll hold down my Control key and select the rest of these lines and go to Create Form. Alright, so now I've got a form that's a frame. I can pick that frame, come over to the material, add a material parameter to it. So we'll name this 4-point mat, and we'll make it an instance and click OK. Click OK. Now it's ready to be loaded into the project. Alright.